box, and we will do our best to help you. If you want to tell a friend, check out our sponsor, Moment Feed, or Digital Marketing Depot. There are some widgets at the bottom of your screen. Just click on them, and they will take you where you want to go. The hashtag for today is TMDWC. We are going to hear a lot of great content, so I wanted to let you know we are recording this broadcast, and we will make it available for viewing on demand this afternoon. I'll send an email when it's ready. With that business taken care of, let me make some more formal introductions. Greg Sterling, Vice President of Strategy and Insights for the local Search Association, is also a contributing editor at Search Engine Land and Marketing Land, where he covers the converging worlds of online and offline. As Director of Client Success for Moment Feed, Ryan Weiser is responsible for helping brands like Starbucks, Cricket, and Avis organize, harness, and amplify the effectiveness of their digital footprint to drive customers from their mobile phone, stores, shops, and restaurants. You can see more complete bios and contact information for our speakers on the left side of your audience console. Remember, if you have questions for our industry experts, please make good use of that Ask a Question box. I'll get to as many of those questions live after the formal presentation. So before I turn the webinar over to Greg Sterling to get us started, we've got a poll question for you, audience. Here it is. On which networks are you actively managing your digital storefront? And this is a multiple response, so please check off all that applies. Our choices are Facebook, Google My Business, Yelp, Apple Maps, and others. So while you think about that and click on your responses, I'll remind you again that we are recording this broadcast and it will be available on demand later today in case at another time you want to go back over some of the great information that Greg and Ryan are going to share with us. So let's take a look at our results, and then I'm going to bring Greg Sterling in to join us. So I can see that a lot of people are on Facebook, Google, Yelp, all over the place, Greg. So we've got a nice varied audience that have lots of different experiences in driving mobile audiences. So let's see if we can help them make the connection to their offline business as well.
Well, what's super interesting to me about this is the number of people using Facebook versus Google My Business. I mean, there was a significant gap there. Now, that may be because some of these folks are not offline businesses, and then a lot of people weren't using local Apple Maps. So everybody who's on Google My Business should be on Apple Maps as well for some of the same reasons. So that's pretty interesting result. So thanks for having me on, and I always like the opportunity to talk about the connections between digital and offline, which are becoming more and more important and evident to people. This is a pretty straightforward idea. Here we're living in a much more complicated, fragmented universe of media, multi-channel, omni-channel, cross-channel, whatever you want to say, change the channel. And it's gotten harder and harder for brands to reach consumers and communicate with them effectively, as everybody on this call knows. So, consumers, depending upon the category and the survey, are using between 3 and 10 sources along their purchase path to make decisions. Higher consideration categories like travel and home buying and cars and other things like that. Big life events obviously involve more research and more sources, and things like restaurants involve fewer sources. But it's people are looking at a lot of different media, a lot of different sources. And kind of paradoxically, in a way, at this time, we've got rising consumer expectations. So at a moment when it's become more difficult for brands and enterprises to reach consumers effectively, consumers have higher expectations. So they have greater expectations for relevance, which we'll get into in a little bit. That's largely because of mobile context. Again, mobile speed, personalization, and convenience. They want stuff that's going to be immediate, relevant to them, accessible, and there's all kinds of usability expectations that go along with this. This is a HubSpot graphic, and it may a little bit difficult to read, but basically it stands for the proposition that a lot of media are generating negative experiences, and consumers are resistant to a lot of marketing, telemarketing, that's being the top one at the top, and email being sort of slightly is the opposite. So they're more responsive to email. That's because it's largely an opposite media. So what we have is a general climate of kind of overload of information, overload of marketing messages, and consumers are resistant to a lot of them. And that shows up in a lot of the ad blocking data that we see. And if I were to do a poll right now, which I'm not doing, I would ask how many people are doing ad blocking themselves as consumers or are aware of this issue in the market. Different surveys have different data points, but what I want to point out is this is not a HubSpot survey. That's the incorrect source, but I think this is AdBlock Plus, was the source of this data, which I wrote about not long ago on Marketing Lab. At any rate, the top response is, why are you using ad blocking? Too many ads that are annoying or irrelevant. So, what consumers really are looking for is messages that cut through the clutter, that are relevant to them. And this word personalized or personalization is a buzzword that people have been kicking around for a couple of years. And it means different things in different contexts, and it's problematic. But it's problematic to execute against. But nonetheless, this is the sentiment consumers are expressing. They want stuff that's relevant to them, that's not generic, that addresses their needs and their interests. Now, that's one of the ways to do that. One of the easiest ways actually is by using location. Now, location can be a proxy for other values like audience segment or purchase intent, but it is one way to deliver greater relevance and personalization. As you can see, these are two different statistics from different sources. One of them was a Google sponsored survey, and one of them is IAB, but they stand for the same proposition. So consumers, especially mobile consumers, want locally relevant content. This is the context at the upper status search ads, but this also applies to display as well and other messages. And then the IAB data point at the bottom is the number one thing marketers can do to personalize is to make advertising relevant to their location. And this is actually relatively easy to do with a lot of the automation that exists, location extensions and other kinds of things that are available. And that's especially true in a mobile context. Everything is sort of 2x for mobile. As many people on this webinar know, the share of digital media time spent on desktop PCs and laptops has shrunk dramatically in the past several years, and is now basically less than a third of all digital media time. It's important for e-commerce companies because this is still where the majority of transactions take place. People are using the PC in conjunction with other channels, but it's a minority use case now, believe it or not, in terms of time spent. And to that end, Zenith Office Media has projected that this year, 3/4 of global internet traffic is going to be driven by mobile devices. And that makes a lot of sense in developing markets because they leapfrog the PC. In the U.S., I think it's pretty much a 50-50 split, or pretty close to that. And next year, it's going to be 80% mobile traffic, according to this forecast. One of the things that people often assume about mobile users is that they're using these devices out in the world and at the bottom of the funnel, right? So I'm doing research on my PC or laptop, I make some sort of quasi-decision or get somewhere, some way along the purchase path, and then I've got my phone and I'm going to do this sort of last mile kind of lookup on my phone out in the world, and then I'm going to buy something. Now that often happens, but you can see from this data, people are using mobile devices throughout the purchase cycle, and in fact, a majority use them for general lookup. So at the very beginning, brand awareness, just very high level, high in the funnel kind of queries and research is being done on mobile devices. And there's a segment of the audience, younger users, who are mobile only. So they are only using mobile devices. This slide is about social media and the time spent on mobile accessing social platforms. And what you can see is that it's used, basically percent mobile, and most of that is smartphone and apps in particular, which is kind of reflective of the larger trend. So social media, mostly accessed on apps, mostly on mobile. This is true of video. Now, this is Google data, YouTube. Well, actually, it's ComScore data, but I think YouTube has really comparable stats. So we see the mobile desktop split. This is where YouTube video is being consumed. And everybody knows who's been alive since 2015 that mobile query volume now has eclipsed the desktop in terms of search. Google hasn't released a precise number, but it's probably category specific. But it's probably close to 60% in the aggregate now, and in certain categories well over that. So I think 70% of Yelp's query volume comes from their app. That's going to be a lot of sort of restaurants and entertainment, but not exclusively. I did an interview on stage a couple years ago with Chandu Sota, who's one of Google's engineering directors, and he's responsible for a lot of the location stuff going on at Google. And what he said to me was that they have to treat every single search on a mobile device as potentially local because that's such a high percentage of the kind of research or lookups that are being done, search queries that are being done. Now, their official position is 30% of all mobile searches are related to location. But in 2011, they said that number was 10 points higher, and they've said higher numbers informally in the past. So I think there's some ambiguity there, and they've landed on a safe number. But clearly, all the stuff Google's doing with in-store analytics is reflective of their emphasis on online and offline and the importance of locations of mobile devices. This is another sort of metric that stands for a lot of stuff. 84%. People will look at reviews, ratings, or price information before making a decision on them. It's an online to offline stat. That's just generally reflective of the behavior at large that we've been talking about. And in terms of where people are spending their time, we already talked about it a little bit. So with the ComScore social media data, this is kind of generic ComScore app data, and it shows that people concentrate their time on their top 3 apps and mostly their favorite app. And for most people in the United States, that's Facebook. Facebook is the number 1 app and has been since ComScore started tracking that 7 years ago, I think 2014. And so we have most media time spent in apps and in only a tiny number of apps. So there's a real skew here. Now that doesn't mean people are not active in lots of sites, lots of content. In fact, the mobile web has much greater reach than apps, but in terms of time, that's where the action is. And so this is my final slide before I turn it back to you, Karen, for a second poll question. And this just reflects what I just said a second ago. This is the top 20 apps in terms of reach. And this is April data, recent data. So it's Facebook, Messenger, and then you get a bunch of Google stuff and some miscellaneous other. In fact, I think when you combine Google and Facebook, they have the top 10 of 20. I'm not counting, but anyway, so there are a few others in there: Snapchat, Pandora, Amazon, Netflix, Twitter, etc. But clearly Google and Facebook are the dominant platforms in the market today. So Karen, with that, I'd like to turn it back to you for the second polling question.
Thanks so much, Greg. A lot of good information that came at us very quickly. So we're gonna have our audience do this poll question, and then while they think about their responses, I'm going to remind everybody to get your questions in through the Q&A button. And Greg and Ryan will both be here at the end of the formal presentation to answer those questions. So we asked about where you're managing storefronts. Now we wanted to know, where are you running local targeted ad campaigns? Again, this is a multiple response question, so click on all of them that apply. Our choices are Facebook, Google, display, programmatic, other, or maybe you're not advertising. Maybe you are focused on your storefront. So give that some thought. We'll let you click on your responses there. And then we're going to take a look. And Ryan Weiser from Moment Feed is going to join me as we take a look at the results to see what they need and what kind of interesting responses we see. So, Ryan, here we are again. Facebook is the leader with nearly 3/4 of our attendees advertising on Facebook. Google close behind. And a few of our audience not doing advertising yet, but it looks like the majority of our audience are advertisers and probably could learn a lot from our webinar today, right?
Karen, and thank you, Greg. As Karen said at the top, my name is Ryan Weiser, Director of Client Success here at MomentFeed. MomentFeed, I'm primarily responsible for helping big multi-location brands like Starbucks, Cricket, Hertz Rent-A-Car leverage their digital footprints and really get the most out of them. Today, I'm excited to share some of this expertise with you guys, and as well as discuss ways to turn your digital mobile efforts and really improve them at your location. For those of you who might not be familiar with Facebook, we're a trusted partner with networks like Facebook, Google, Apple, Bing, and Wave. These network partnerships combined with our client relationships give us unique insight into what works and what doesn't work for brands trying to conquer the mobile world. So the stat I'd like to start everybody off with is the one here on the screen. 56% of all offline sales are influenced by mobile. And this is really a state of the market stat for me. 56% of all of your business starts on a mobile device. And from what we can see in the marketplace, there are no signs that number is going anywhere but up. So what does this mean? Brands that want to turn consumers into customers need to adjust their strategy and put mobile first. The consumer buying trends of yesteryear are dead and gone, and everything now points to a world where mobile reigns. Since you're in attendance today, I'm quite sure all of you are aware of the importance of mobile. So instead of expounding on that topic, I'm going to use my time with you today to discuss some of the most impactful aspects of a next generation mobile strategy. As we go through each of these topics, I'll share some stats as well as tips you can adopt to drive results in your own roles. The proprietary data and insights I'll be sharing with permission come from over 50 different clients in 3 different verticals: retail products, retail services, and restaurants. These brands range in size as well from 30 locations to nearly 3,000. So the 4 points we'll really focus on today are: embrace the way your customers find you, strive for accuracy, leverage the reach of local, and adopt a multi-network approach. What we see with high-performing brands is that they embrace the various ways that their customers find them on mobile. This is important because smartphones and tablets have gone from being one channel in a sea of many to the only channel. We're living in a mobile-first world. Customers engage with your digital storefronts on Google, Facebook, Apple Maps, Bing, Yelp, up to 10 times more than your website. Some data that we'll actually dive into a little bit later. It's imperative that you keep these digital storefronts up to date across all of these channels if you want to win mobile moments when they occur. Now let's take a detailed look at mobile search. One of the most transformational mobile search trends is the explosion of near-me search popularity. I encourage each of you to go and check this out for yourself. Go to google.com/trend, look up whatever product it is that you sell, and add the words near me to the end of it, and you'll see the same sort of trend that you see in the graph here, which is explosive growth of this search term. And when you apply that across all of your different locations, you'll see the tremendous potential this could offer for your business. Now let's examine why near me search is so critical. Mobile search for goods and services has tremendous purchase intent, which is one of the things that Greg was focusing on earlier. For those of you SEO folks in attendance, I know you've been preaching this within your company for years, but let's look at this under the lens of mobile. 28% of near-me searches result in a purchase, and many of those purchases occur on the same day. At the same time, 72% of consumers select one of the top 3 search results on Google. Now, if you look at the amount of near-me search that's being driven, the conversion rate, that 28% number, that are near-me searches that are resulting in a purchase that day, and the fact that 72% of those conversions are coming from the Google 3-pack, that makes that the most valuable real estate on the internet. And because of the sheer volume of searches that land in the 3-pack here, even small incremental improvements can represent tens of thousands of customers making their way to each of your locations. But showing up there is only half the battle. Now, the second point that we wanted to talk about today is striving for accuracy. Accuracy plays a major part in mobile search ranking, but accuracy can also be the difference between a consumer successfully making their way through your doors, showing up during regular business hours, and ultimately not having a poor experience, which can lead them into the arms of a competitor. 67% of consumers say they lose trust in a brand if inaccurate location information is provided online. It seems simple, but we still observe a tremendous gap in the amount of importance corporate marketing places on ensuring accuracy across these mobile sources. Let's put it in perspective. The average client that comes to MomentFeed, if the amount of inaccuracy we typically see on their Google Maps listings was present on their corporate website's store locator, CMOs would be replacing website people all the time. The reason that is that's where the CMO is focused. That's where marketing as a whole is focused. They're focused on those owned channels, but this is where the disconnect lies. Brands invest in those owned channels because that's where they believe the customers discover them. But in reality, it's the mobile channels that we've been discussing thus far and we've been voting on thus far that are where your customers are interacting with your brand the most, and presence there is often inaccurate. We evaluated the latitude longitude data for 20,000 locations recently implemented in the MomentFeed MCX. The data showed that of the locations loaded into the platform, a staggering 94% of them had inaccuracies. Now, not all of those inaccuracies are huge. Some are small, some are miles or more. But no matter what, the thing to focus on there is 94% of locations have the potential for a customer to have a bad experience in trying to find them. And this is something that absolutely has to be rectified and has to be addressed in a mobile-first era. Okay, and while accuracy is extremely important, it's only half the battle. The next thing that you must consider is completeness. And by completeness, I mean the need to optimize your listings beyond name, address, phone number. The goal here is to include all of the unique business information for each and every one of your locations. So we've got some of the fields up here on the screen. We've got website, we've got categories, photos, all of that stuff. But what we're really talking about here is taking it a step further. What is it that makes each business unique, whether it's offering guests Wi-Fi or having a patio or being dog-friendly, whatever is important, whatever makes each one of your locations special, that needs to be part of your digital presence, especially on Google. Google has replaced text description with attributes and amenities because they can better speak to customers' needs, especially in long-tail searches. So you have people searching not just for restaurant plus Wi-Fi, but they're looking for a restaurant with a great happy hour that also has Wi-Fi. And the only way you can win in that long-tail search is to provide that information to Google. When you look at those long-tail searches, they are highly specific, but they're high intent as well. So your ability to convert, the likelihood that you convert if you win that moment is absolutely huge. So the takeaway here is if you want to win in those searches, don't skip on the detail. Provide as much information as you can to Google and to all of the other channels that we're talking about as well. To go along with accuracy and consistency, along with accuracy and completeness, we also want to talk about consistency. Your brand's mobile presence depends on accurate information on every app, website, and directory consumers might use to find one of your locations. This means removing rogue pages and listings, plus claiming and consolidating all duplicate pages. If your information is consistent and compelling on mobile, then and only then can you influence customers at the exact right moment they're making purchase decisions. These mobile moments are the ones that drive real sales into your physical stores. So we'll talk about this a lot throughout the presentation, but you can't just focus on one or two core networks, or just even the networks that we voted on in the earlier poll. You have to cast the net wide. You have to power the internet as many channels as you possibly can, because then you're increasing the size of your funnel. We recently aggregated data across our customer base. We looked at customers of all sizes and verticals. And what we were trying to suss out is how often are customers experiencing these brands at the local level on their local digital assets, and how often are they experiencing these brands at the corporate level, so those brand assets. And we did this going in with the expectation or a hypothesis that it would be about a 50-50 split. And we thought that would actually give us a great story to tell in terms of the importance of local, if it was 50% of the equation. But when we did the data analysis, we found that a whopping 85% of all consumer impressions happen on those local assets that represent stores or showrooms or restaurants. 85%. The remaining 15% of impressions are happening on brand or corporate assets, including your website or corporate accounts on social media. This is shocking because, as we said before, we still see a tremendous gap in the amount of time and money that is spent on corporate assets compared to what's being spent on local pages. Local pages are where the interaction is happening, and local pages give you more bang for your buck. We see on local pages that they have 5 times more reach per fan and 8 times the engagement, which gives you 40 times the overall impact. What this tells us is that the only way to get significant exposure on mobile is to leverage and maximize local assets as the first line of engagement. Your website and your corporate social accounts are second. They're an important second, but they're second nonetheless. Your focus has to be on location if your goal is to be mobile first. Now we're going to jump into our third point and transition from kind of location data management and digital presence more towards outgoing social and paid media. So leveraging the reach of local. Customers want location-specific information. The post that we have on the screen is a sponsored post from Jamba Juice. And what you can see here is that they're interested in promoting things that are unique to that location. And this is exactly what customers want. They want information they can act on because it's coming from a business that's close enough for them to go in and make a buying decision, as opposed to national brand news. People on mobile want to know what's happening around them, not what's happening with a brand at the national level. What we've observed with posts like this is that they have click-through rates 50 to 75% better than what might happen at a national brand page level. Now, when we talk about pushing content out at the local level across hundreds or even thousands of locations, there are obviously bandwidth issues that must be addressed. So there are 2 things to really focus on here. One is to find the right tool that can help you engage in the way that you want to. One way you can do that is to try to gain scale, but to push out local authentic content from the brand level. One of the things that's key there is to have a solution that allows you to insert dynamic copy into these things. So that each post feels unique. It feels as though it came from the store manager, but in reality it's coming from a small dynamic marketing team. So finding a tool that can allow you to insert city or store manager, address, neighborhood, or unique promotions or menu items that are specific to each location is absolutely key to gain that sort of local authenticity, but coming from a national level. On the flip side, if your goal is to achieve this authentic local content by empowering local store managers, then the key is to have a tool that allows you to maintain brand control. So empower them, but don't let them go running off on their own. Another great strategy is focusing on user-generated content. In today's social media age, people want to hear from other people like them, people near them, their friends. Remember that local pages on Google, Facebook, and Yelp were designed to be managed by store managers, not brands. If we look at just the sheer volume of the UGC, there are 350 million photos posted daily to Facebook alone, and that's not taking into account what could be happening on Instagram and other sources. If you're not sourcing and sharing this locally relevant content, you're missing out on the best earned media opportunities on mobile. UGC is 30% more memorable and 20% more influential compared to other types of media. There's a huge opportunity for you to build your brand presence in each of the markets where you do business. So key takeaway here for user-generated content is that you're selling your products, right? You've got ads, you've got posts, you're getting the word out there, and you're getting the visuals out there with great stock footage that you're paying a lot of money for. The other end of that is the experience of your products. Whether you're a restaurant or you're a retail shop, people are experiencing your brand, they're experiencing your product. That's why they're coming back to you, purchase after purchase. User-generated content like the Instagram photo that we have on the screen is the best way to sell the other side of your product, to sell the experience. The next thing we want to talk about is mobile advertising. Mobile advertising can be split into 2 categories: programmatic advertising and native apps. When focusing on local advertising, the future is in native apps. According to business analyst HIS, nearly 2/3 of all mobile ads will be in native apps by 2020. And this makes sense. Native apps like Facebook, Snapchat, Waze are at the heart of discovery for a consumer. Ads served on Facebook, showing your friends and family that have been to a location before, acts as a personal endorsement. Ads served on your navigation route make it easy for you to stay on your current path, not backtrack, but still engage with a brand or go in and make a purchase. simply can't be matched by a mobile ad that's showing up as you're listening to music in Pandora or an ad that you see while you're trying to check scores at ESPN. Taking that to the next level, people share all kinds of personal information with these native apps. So when you think of what we share with Facebook, our age, our interests, our friends, or what we share with Google, our physical location, the places like that we like to navigate to, all of this is extremely vital information, making these native apps the perfect source for local advertising. Now, what we wanted to do now was to look at a recent client example utilizing Facebook local advertising capabilities. So Pizza Hut targeted users within a certain radius of their restaurants, and they had a defined goal of driving more foot traffic while also reducing their ad waste, reducing the number of people seeing their ads, people that are paying to see those ads who aren't necessarily close enough or aren't interested in making a purchase at Pizza Hut. And these are the results that Pizza Hut saw. Not only did they see reduced waste, but they saw increased reach and relevance by using locally targeted ads, which drove an increase in impressions, clicks, and sales. They saw their impressions go up by 11%, their clicks go up by 93%, and a 23% increase in sales for the stores that were running these ads. Now, this is just one example, but this is something that we see each and every day here at MomentFeed across clients of all sizes and verticals, taking advantage of local opportunities. Local ad opportunities on Facebook is an absolute must. So we look at the poll questions that we did before. This is something you guys seem to be taking advantage of greatly, but this is an area where you can really double down and really start to explore what's the latest and greatest from Facebook and other native channels. All right. The last point that we want to get to here is really to adopt a multi-network approach. Sorry, one second. Well, Facebook is a huge network and is responsible for a significant amount of impression share for your brand. It's only one of the important networks. Social media interaction with brands has never been higher, and with 85% of your brand's interactions taking place through local social channels, reviews, map listings, there is not a one-size-fits-all approach or a single place that is the place to put all of your focus. You need to know what customers are saying, and be able to proactively respond in near real time across all networks: Facebook, Google, Yelp, and Bing. Let's identify some of the highlights from those different network partners. So obviously, Facebook is the largest source of consumer engagement with your brand, and those impressions are taking place on the profile pages of your individual stores. In fact, 96% of Facebook impressions are happening on the local profile pages, with only 4% happening on that corporate profile that we seem to be spending so much time and resource focused on. Google has the largest amount of lead volume, with page views converting to leads, so that's people clicking to call, clicking to website, clicking for directions at nearly 6% of the time. And while Yelp can't match Google on the raw volume, page views convert to leads on Yelp 3 times more than on Google. Lastly, Bing definitely doesn't have the impression share that Google and Facebook have, but what they do have is that Bing is the engine that powers voice search. So as Alexa and Siri become more popular, they will continue to gain share, and so too will the volume of impressions on Bing, and thus the importance of making sure that you're investing in Bing. The last thing that we want to talk about before we start to wrap up here is attribution. And attribution has long been sort of the white whale. It's been kind of an area of unknown for marketers in this space. But the networks that we've been talking about throughout this entire presentation have really gone above and beyond to help solve this issue. And today's attribution is really much simpler than it used to be. Campaigns can be measured in a variety of ways. And the good news is that these measurement options already exist. This means you don't have to spend time and energy thinking through an attribution model and trying to convince the CMO that these numbers indicate these numbers and so on and so forth. You don't need beacons or a loyalty program or a personalized identifier like a coupon code. Campaigns that are measured by in-store foot traffic already exist on Google, Facebook, and Snapchat. You can serve an ad and measure it simply by how many people ended up in your store after seeing the ad. All network partners also offer the ability to track based on click-to-convert metrics. You can use pixels and all of these things. But run on Google, Facebook, and Snapchat are really the right way to go. The days of attribution being an unknown on social and mobile marketing is really a thing of the past. And all of this, where we are now, we're in a place where you can make educated inferences on the trends that show the impact of your marketing is having on the bottom line. So how do you win on mobile? First, embrace the way that your customers find you. Consumers check their phones 150 times a day. I think I might check my phone more than that. The average of these interactions lasts a minute and 10 seconds. In those mobile moments, consumers are checking apps, they're reading reviews, they're chatting with friends. It's important to understand that consumer behavior and their interaction with your brand doesn't live in a silo. You need to think like a customer and be present everywhere so that your customers can find you. 2, strive for accuracy. Not only do 67% of customers lose trust in a brand if their location information is wrong, accurate location data is a fundamental part of search algorithms. Inaccurate data means customers have a hard time finding you, and those that do run the risk of being alienated. 3 is to leverage the reach of local. 85% of consumer impressions are on mobile storefronts of your individual locations, not your brand assets. Yet a majority of the marketing spend is on those brand assets. This is something that forward-thinking brands who really want to win on mobile must shift their focus in this area. And the 4th is to adopt a multi-network approach. Your presence on each network creates a critical link that derives results. Siri and Alexa look to Bing to fuel search results. Apple Maps integrates Yelp reviews into their iOS. Google looks at your presence across all networks and builds search rankings. Facebook is the single largest source of impressions for all of your locations. Adopting a multi-network approach isn't just to ensure that you're embracing how customers find you. It's to ensure that you stay relevant, are found on mobile, and can utilize your mobile marketing to drive customers into your stores. Lastly, I just want to tell you a little bit about MomentFeed. At MomentFeed, it's our mission to enable multi-location brands to complete their mobile presence and leverage it to its fullest extent. Customers will find you through a variety of means: a mobile ad, search rankings, map view, listings page, review site, all of these things. Each of these mobile moments relies on a core component of accurate information with the ability to broadcast and engage across any mobile channel to wherever a customer might find you. That can be on a major network like Google or Facebook, or a niche website that's updated and managed through a content syndication partner like Factual or Axiom. We've helped brands and agencies, large or small, manage at this scale. And if we're not working with you, frankly, we're probably working with one of your competitors. We'd welcome the chance to talk to you to see if what has worked for Pizza Hut, Starbucks, and Burger King can also work for you. Thank you so much for your time, and with that, I'll hand it back to Karen.
Great. Thanks, Ryan. Awful lot of good information. So, audience, we've got lots of questions coming in, and we want to get to them as quickly as we can. So, now that you've heard Greg and Ryan talk about all these best practices and trends in the industry, I just wanted to see what you thought of your own efforts at this point. And how would you rate your company's ability to attribute online efforts to offline results? This is pick a single response. We're trying to have a little fun with it. So, are you a beginner? You're just getting the hang of it? Are you guys good, that you're making progress connecting those dots? Or are you already an excellent, that you know where the buyers are coming from and when they come in, or should say visitors, where visitors are coming from and when they come into the stores? So think about that for a couple of seconds as you look at how your company does with mobile and offline sales. And we're going to bring up our results, and then we're going to get to some of your questions. Well, we have a modest crowd here, Ryan. More than half say they're beginners, so I'm sure they took a lot from yours and Greg's presentation. So let's get right into some of their questions, and then I'm sure that will help a lot of people's efforts as well. So here's our first question. Ryan, I'm going to have you take the first crack at this one.